The rifle trembled in Sarah's hands as she pressed her back against the barn's weathered wall. Heavy footsteps crunched outside, circling with deliberate patience. Through the gaps in the splintered wood, she glimpsed a shadow, tall, broad-shouldered, moving like a predator certain of cornered prey. Behind her, her 3 younger siblings huddled in the hay. Tommy, 8, clutched his wooden horse, knuckles white. The 6-year-old twins, Mary and Martha, buried their faces in Sarah's torn skirt, their breaths shallow with fear. "I know you're in there," came a deep, weathered voice from outside. "Saw your fire's smoke 3 miles out." Sarah cursed herself. Lighting that fire had been foolish, but Martha had been shivering in the November cold, the chill biting through their thin blankets. For 4 days, they'd hidden in this abandoned barn, surviving on a half loaf of bread and a jar of preserves scavenged before fleeing their homestead. The footsteps stopped. "Your pa's horses are in my stable," the voice continued, closer now. "Been there 2 weeks. Figured someone come looking." Sarah's breath caught. 2 weeks. That meant he knew how long Papa had been gone, knew when their world had shattered. The barn door creaked, and a shaft of late afternoon light cut through the darkness. Marcus Kane stepped inside, his silhouette filling the doorway. Owner of the sprawling Circle K ranch bordering their small homestead, he was a man Sarah had only glimpsed from afar. His hat shadowed his face, but his weathered hands and expensive coat spoke of a life her family could barely imagine. His eyes took in everything, the rifle in Sarah's grip, the hollow cheeks of the children, the fear in their eyes. "How long since you've eaten?" he asked quietly. Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger. "Stay back." Kane raised his hand slightly. "Not here to hurt you, girl. Just asking." Silence stretched like a taut rope. Tommy trembled against her leg, and the wind wailed through the barn's gaps, cold and mournful. Kane's gaze softened as it fell on the children, something like pain flickering in his expression. "All 4 of you," he said, voice low. "Get in." Sarah's mind reeled. Get in. Beyond Kane, she glimpsed a wagon parked outside. "No," she whispered, but her voice cracked. The children stirred, hope and terror warring in their small bodies. Kane stepped forward cautiously. "Your pa owes me money. 3 months now. But that's not why I'm here. 3 months. That was when Papa started vanishing for days, returning with whiskey on his breath and tales of strikes and riches. 3 months since Mama died of fever, and their world began to crumble. Found him in Deadwood," Kane said, his voice gentle but sharp. "Table stakes got high, and he bet the homestead. Lost it to a man named Briggs." Sarah's knees buckled. The homestead, gone. The only home they'd known, where Mama was buried under the oak, where Tommy took his first steps, where the twins were born during a winter storm. "Briggs is coming," Kane added. "Tomorrow, maybe the day after. He's not patient." "Why are you here?" Sarah asked, voice breaking. "Why help us?" Kane's gaze grew distant. "Had a daughter once. About your age." The word had carried a weight of grief. "Lost her. Lost a lot." Tommy whimpered, and Mary whispered, "Sarah, I'm hungry." Kane's jaw tightened. "There's food in the wagon," he said, voice firm. "Blankets, a place with walls and a fire that won't give you away." Sarah looked at her siblings, Tommy's ribs visible through his shirt, the twins' gaunt faces, eyes too big for their heads. When had they last eaten properly? Slept without fear? "What do you want in return?" she asked. Nothing came free. Kane's eyes flickered, surprise, maybe respect. "We'll figure that out." The wind gusted, storm clouds looming on the horizon. The smell of food, bread, meat, drifted from the wagon, making Sarah's stomach clench with hunger. Her rifle dipped slightly. Kane nodded, as if she'd made a choice. "Time to choose, girl," he said. My wagon, or whatever comes with Briggs. Before Sarah could answer, hoofbeats thundered from the main road, fast and hard. Kane's hand dropped to his revolver. Down, he hissed. All of you, into the hay. Not a sound. Sarah pulled Tommy and the twins deeper into the shadows. Through a crack in the wall, she saw 5 riders approach, their horses lathered. The leader, in a black hat with a silver band, wore a fine wool coat that screamed money and violence. Briggs. Kane stepped outside, boots crunching on gravel. Evening, gentlemen, he said, voice calm. You're on my land. Briggs dismounted, spurs jangling. Kane, he spat. Heard you know about some missing children. 4 of M. Henderson's. Owe me a debt. Children? Kane's tone was mild. What children? Briggs stepped closer, his men fanning out behind him. Henderson's debt's on his kids now. They're mine. Sarah's blood froze. Collateral. Property to be sold. They're under my protection, Kane said simply. Briggs laughed, sharp and cruel. Protection? You know what 4 healthy kids are worth. Silence pressed like a blade. Kane's hand rested near his gun. I know what they're worth to me. In a flash, Briggs drew his revolver, but Kane was faster, his Colt appearing like magic, aimed at Briggs's chest. Think about this, Kane said, still calm. I've got cover. You're in the open. My foreman's likely got you in his rifle scope. How many can you drop before he drops you? Sarah held her breath. Was there a foreman? Or was Kane bluffing? One of Briggs's men shifted nervously, glancing at the dark ranch house. This isn't over, Briggs said, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Fair, Kane replied. But it's over tonight. Briggs lowered his gun, holstering it with a scowl. We'll be back. With more men. Papers. His eyes flicked to the barn, and Sarah swore he saw her through the crack. Then he mounted and rode off, his men following, hoofbeats fading into the dusk. Kane waited until they were gone before holstering his gun and turning to the barn. Come out, he called softly. Sarah emerged, rifle still in hand, siblings behind her. Kane looked wearier now, older. They'll be back, she said. Yes, he agreed. Tomorrow, maybe the next night. With men and papers. Tommy stepped forward, voice small but firm. Mister, why help us? You don't know us. Kane knelt to Tommy's level, studying his stubborn jaw. Had a boy once, your age. Daniel. Lost him and his sister to scarlet fever 7 years ago. Their mother, too. His voice softened. You remind me of them. The way you protect each other. Sarah's chest tightened. Not trust, but understanding, a shared pain. I'm sorry, she whispered. Kane nodded, then stood. You're worth protecting. Mary tugged Sarah's skirt. Are we going to die? No, Sarah said firmly. We're not. She's right, Kane added. Not on my watch. He unpacked supplies from the wagon, food, blankets, a small stove. Soon, beans and bacon simmered over a fire, the smoke rising through roof cracks. The children ate ravenously, and Kane watched with a mix of pain and memory. My ranch has empty rooms, he said suddenly. Beds, windows, a kitchen. A safe place. Why tell us this? Sarah asked, wary. Because you're worth fighting for. The fire crackled, casting shadows on the barn walls. Outside, coyotes howled, the prairie alive with night sounds. Briggs will come with the law, Sarah said. Papers saying we're his. Papers can be fought, Kane replied, glancing at his rifle. Sometimes a man decides what's right, not what's legal. Sarah looked at her siblings, Tommy dozing, the twins curled together, and made a choice. Your ranch. Those rooms. What do we do to stay? Cain's voice was barely a whisper. Just be children. They loaded the wagon in darkness, moving quietly. Cain insisted they leave now, Briggs might return sooner than expected. Sarah carried a sleeping Tommy, the twins walking hand in hand, less afraid now. Cain's ranch house appeared like a dream, solid timber and stone, warm light spilling from windows. A dog barked, then quieted at Cain's word. Mrs. Chen, Cain called. A small Chinese woman with graying hair opened the door, her eyes gentle but firm. She took one look at the children and stepped aside. Blue room and green room, she said. I'll heat water for baths. Sarah hesitated, but Cain shook his head. Tomorrow, we'll talk. Tonight, you're safe. Mrs. Chen led them to rooms with lavender-scented quilts. She washed the twins' faces, braided their hair, tucked them in like her own. Sarah watched, awed by the kindness. Sarah, Tommy mumbled sleepily. Are we home now? Cain answered from the doorway. Yes. You're home. Later, on the porch, Sarah sat beside Cain, the darkness hiding the threat of Briggs's return. He'll come back, she said. I know, Cain replied. With men and papers. Why risk everything for us? He was silent for a long moment. 7 years ago, I had everything, a wife, 2 children, a bright future. I couldn't save them. His voice broke. Tonight, I could save you. Sarah's eyes stung. When Briggs comes, we'll face him together. Together, Cain agreed. Dawn touched the horizon, a faint promise. Challenges lay ahead, Briggs, papers, battles. But for now, 4 children slept safely in warm beds. Tommy smiled in his sleep, dreaming of wooden horses. And Marcus Cain, who'd forgotten how to be a father, remembered what it meant to protect something worth saving.